I think we're live. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Hold on. There we go. Just checking me levels. Check 1, 3. Sibilance. What's up? I see Scott, Matt, Frank, Shammy Whammy, Eddie Mozzie, James 5150, and Bill, Mike, Eddie, hey, Zach H, Stone King, what's up, buddy? Sounds good, yeah. What's up, JMT Bills? We got John. Got Bill. Got Mark. Blackjack guitar. Oh man, happy Catterday. We'll see if we can trap a cat. I set a trap. I set a cat trap. We'll see if we can lure one. The window's closed, and that's a big cat feature. It brings them in, but I have it closed because it actually hit a little over 80 degrees today and got a little bit more muggy, and I was like, am I turning the air conditioning back on? And it broke me. I finally, at the end of the day, I said, I'm turning it on. Tone clamp is working perfectly. Get them where pro tone clamps are sold. Who'd I see? Eric. I saw Rock and Rob. Speaker, what's up, buddy? Yeti Mozzie, if I didn't say already. Super Lead 100. Rico B. Bob says, that sounds like a true 1960 Stratocaster. What's the magic? The magic, Bob? It's a 70s. I know you saw the color. You're like, that sounds like a 60s. And the color looks like 60s, but it's actually their 70s model. So they're using the 70s voiced pickups. Whatever those are. Maybe they're brighter? I don't know. Tony, did I just see Tony go by? I think I did. I got to tune up though. That is annoying. Yeah, let me hit my. Hold on, we're in tuning mode here for a split second. That's not bad. Now it's sharp. Hold on. You can't overshoot it. Oh, see, you know what? A lot of these are already a little sharp. You know, guitars go sharp on the stand. And I think it's because in the cold, right, they tense up, right, as they cool off from the warmth of your body. They go sharp on the stand. It is annoying. All right, who else do we have here? And Seafoam as well. Very impressive, I know. Who do we have here? Tony, if I didn't say hello to Tony. Great to see you, buddy. And Deanna, if I didn't say hello to Deanna. Always great to see you. And Michael. And Rock and Rob, 2004. Do I like the rosewood better than the maple? Yeah, I'm kind of indifferent, but I think maybe I do. I just, from a look standpoint, I mean, what do you think? It's looking pretty hot there, hot shot. What do you think? Yeah? You know, in the 70s, you had a special order rosewood, which a lot of dealers did. It's not like they're not out there. But the standard offering was maple. So it's probably like 2 to 1, like maple to rosewood, maybe even higher, maybe 3 to 1. It does have a nice look to it, that's for sure. I'm whacking my foot here into a guitar stand. That is good coffee. So how you guys doing? How was your week? We were kind of cool here and dry. Fall showed up for a couple of days. But it got hot again today. We hit like low 80s, and it's going to be hot like, I think through Wednesday. And then it's rainy on Wednesday, and then we're back to fall again. But for the next like 3 days, past 4 straight days in the 80s, that's kind of rare for around here in October. Where's the tremolo arm? You know, sometimes I take the tremolo arms out, and sometimes I don't, and I just didn't on this one. And I have a rule about tremolos. You know, use a Floyd Rose or don't waste your time. It's just going to go out of tune. There's only one tremolo that stays in tune, and that's the Floyd Rose. All the other ones, they mostly stay in tune if you work it and lube the nut and lube under the, all that stuff, and try and get it as good as you can possibly get it. You'll get pretty good, but not like a Floyd Rose. Still, Floyd Rose is up here. Everyone else is down here. That's easily the gap, maybe higher, maybe even that much. Is the truss rod pretty above the nut? It is. This was a thing in the 70s. That is called the bullet truss rod. So they, I think before that, they were always on the butt. And they were trying to move it off the heel because people complained about them on the heel. And I think this was the first attempt, the bullet truss rod. And then finally, when they did it, they just did a second wood plug, the walnut plug, right? Because it was too big, so they couldn't. The hole for the truss rod was too large, and so they used the walnut plug, and that's what they're using today. Depends though. I want to say the Mexican, a lot of the Chinese ones, I think they're plastic. They don't use a separate wood. It was a beautiful day here in New Jersey. Took the electric bikes down to the Jersey Shore. Nice, perfect weather. Yeah, it was. Well, see, it wasn't muggy, but it wasn't super dry like it's been. It was actually kind of mild today. Like it wasn't. The dew point wasn't like 60 where it feels a little muggy. It was like 50, which is that's pretty mild. So a couple days ago it was in the high 30s, right? 40. That's much drier air, and that feels like fall. But today we nudged back up to like 50 for the dew point, and we might be going. It was 55 when I finally called it and closed the windows and turned the air conditioning on. I said, all right, you're losing me at 55 on the dew point, getting a little too muggy. How often should one tune their guitar? Well, anytime it's out of tune, is a start. I would say that I've had Floyd Roses that I've pulled out of the case that I haven't played in 8 months, and they're in tune. Rockin' Rob says, I'm at Foxwoods, approaching Massachusetts by the next weekend, as I told you, on vacation, chilling and playing guitar with friends and family. That's nice. Sure. It's gonna start a little mild, and it's gonna get a little more fall-like. Learned something new with the bullet truss rod. Yeah, bullet truss rod. It was a thing. It was a thing. The Ingves have them. Pretty much any time they're saying like it's a 70s model, it kind of has it. And the Ingves have it, I think. Pretty sure. Tone King will know. He's got one. I think it does. Bullet truss rod. Pretty sure. Then again, it might depend on the one you have. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think he had ones that were sort of basically, he had some that didn't have the full large headstock. He had some that were like the 60s style, right? With the, what do they call that? The spaghetti logo. How do I avoid the fret sprout problem when the air dries out? A lot of people do it very simply by just adding a sponge to the case, adding a humidifier like in the room, but that costs money. It costs money to run that. The sponge in a case seems to be a pretty good one. Usually it almost like goes in a little case. They make what are those, Bovedas? I think Boveda, Boveda. They're a humidity pack, but in the dead of winter, that humidity pack in your case will be just absolutely destroyed in like a couple of days. And when you get them, they'll be soft and squishy, like if there's like a gelatin in it, and in a couple of days it's like hard as a rock, as it's just lost all of its moisture. So, and they're not cheap. So I still think sponge in the case is your cheapest way. Just check the sponge every so often, and just be careful you don't grow mold in there. Right? It's a delicate balance. Love the Ingves Strat, yeah. Tony says his 74 Strat had a bullet truss. My old Strat that I had when I was a kid had a bullet truss rod too. Absolutely. Tone King says my Ingves has the bullet truss rod. Yeah. Yeah, it depended on the model, but I want to say like 90% of his models had the bullet truss rod. And then he had a few, and I want to say they're older series that actually don't have the larger headstock like this. It's got the smaller one. But there weren't a ton of those. That's why they get big money for those. 1000% sponge always in the case. Check them every 3 to 6 months and refill them. Put them in a baggie and just have a quarter of the edge. Oh, that's a good idea. See, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to slow the release, right? So that it's not just whomp, all the moisture gets released. That's how you get mold too. So you got to be real careful with that stuff. I like that idea. Put it in a plastic baggie and then just crack the baggie a little bit and let it sort of come out more regulated and on a slower pace. Sure. But yeah, listen, the bottom line is, especially like here, like in Boston, and I'm sure a lot of parts of the United States, in the summertime, the dew point is in the 60s to 70s the whole summer. When you get into the winter, it's in the teens, the 20s. It is such a drop-off in moisture. It is such a massive change. I'm not sure there's much you can do, to keep it at bay. You can try a few things, but success might be a matter of degree. Use distilled water, that's a good idea, right? To keep it from having a contaminant that would turn into mold. That's actually a good idea. It would kill all spores in it. Tone King says, my Ingves in 2009. Okay, with DiMarzio pickups, right. Yeah, and now it's Duncan, right? He switched to Duncan. Deanna says, I have humidipacks in my acoustic cases. Again, pretty common, the humidipacks. Don't anticipate the mold tone. Absolutely. Made famous by Willie Nelson. Oh, right, the Kaiser Lifeguard humidifier. Okay, and that's like a little, it's almost like a little container, right? And it's got some holes on it, right? Isn't that how it has a sponge in it, right? Isn't that how that works? No? Okay, never had moisture in the case. Just keep the cars in the case. Keep the room temp controlled. Acoustic guitars are more susceptible. Electric, yeah, less the case. Yeah, and I think roasted necks are less susceptible, right? Because I've already got the moisture sort of forced out of them, so there's not really a lot of movement going on in those. But I agree that the acoustic, you could show up and you could just have a cracked back and go, oh, no, wow, I didn't, well, okay. You know, a crack on the top along one of the seams. You'd be like, oh, no. There goes my smoking acoustic guitar. Yeah, no, acoustics, they can crack in the winter, big time. Electrics, I not so much, but fret sprout is annoying. I think the best way to avoid it, like I can see on this guitar, the tangs are all the way up to the end, is to cut the tangs back, you know, and then when you do have a little bit of fret sprout, tape it all off and take those edges out when the neck is at its smallest, and then you probably never get it back again, right? Because you've taken the frets down when the neck is at its, you know, moisture-starved state. So it's going to be at its most contracted, right? That's what fret sprout is. The neck contracts, and the frets don't. So now they're sticking out over the end because the neck got smaller. And then, as crazy as it sounds, when the summertime shows up again and the moisture's back in the air, it plumps back up again, like a Fenway Frank. No more fret sprout. You know? So I would be more inclined to do it the way Guitar Center does it. And that is they put a humidifier in the room and they just have a humidistat in there. And they keep it humidity controlled in a single room. I think that's your best bet if you can afford it. But, you know, admittedly, it's your most expensive way to do it. Because you're running a piece of, you know, gear versus like moisturizing right, putting moisture on a sponge and throwing that in the case. It's about as low cost as it gets. You know, once you get into, I got to plug this thing in and pay attention to all the friggin' moisture, the steam it's putting out. That gets more expensive. No silica gel packs in the case. Those are for eating, bro. They say right on it, eat me. Right? No? Thinking of the wrong thing? For extra fret sprout, there you go. Scallop frets would scare you for humidity changes? No, because you got to remember where the tang meets is not cut away. It's only cut away between the frets, and then it goes back up again, right? Or else the frets wouldn't be at the right height. I'd say you're shitting yourself more if you've got to refret a scalloped fretboard. That's scarier. A lot scarier. Where the tang meets a film. I read about lubricating the trim bar, but the overwhelming thing is to adjust the springs in the back until it's perfect. I find that when I get a guitar straight from the factory, it's almost like they keep the spare spring on the back of the guitar. I'm like, this is so hard. These springs are so stiff. They have so much tension. And you have 3 of them back there. I think I can take one out and it would still be slammed against the front of this thing. And it would be. And so I find that pulling a spring out and adjusting the claw so that I'm sort of like faced on the top of the guitar, and when I bend, it doesn't pull it forward, so I can do things like right. You want to be able to do something like that. You can't have the bridge pulling forward. So I usually set it up so I'll do it so I can go like, and I look and just make sure it's not pulling forward at all. And that's a pretty good spot. And then that's where I'm good. But I almost always have to take a spring out. It depends on the brand, because some of them use, quite frankly, stiffer and bigger springs than others. So Ibanez tends to use much smaller springs. It just depends on the brand. Greets from Munich, Germany. You know, we went out to dinner the other night to the Yard House. And it's Oktoberfest. And I was like, oh, right. So we got the brats. Had to. We got the appetizer, the little mini brats, and a little pretzel bun. And they had a little mustard for dipping and a little cheese sauce for dipping. It was amazing. And we both got the Sam Adams Oktoberfest lager. Malty. Quite nice. They had the Paulana. Oh, they had a few. They had a few there, but we wound up going with the Sam Adams because, quite frankly, it was just cheaper. Like $1 cheaper a beer. Like $7.50 instead of $8.50. I said, we'll just get the Sam Adams. It was great. And I got the Bavarian pork chop, which is it's schnitzel. You know, I don't want to sound too crazy. Bavarian pork chop, and damn, it was real good. You know, and I've been to Germany many times, and I've had schnitzel there many times, and it was good. It had the mushroom cream sauce, like a lot of recipes in Germany have. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And it was good. It was real good. It was bringing me back. It was bringing me back to having, quite processed meats for breakfast. So it's a lot of salami you have in there, kid. Yeah, they had they probably had a Weissbier. They had a few. In fact, I don't have to guess. We can probably look it up real quick. It's a big promotion. Yeah, right there. Right there. Yeah. Check out my Bavarian pork chop, bro. Nice. It was good. It's schnitzel. It was pretty damn good though. Yeah, the Oktoberfest. They showing the beers? I don't think so. See, maybe the website doesn't have it. They had a special page. Yeah, Oktoberfest. Yeah, there's the brat sliders. I had the jumbo pretzel. We said no. Could have got the apple strudel. We went. I went Bavarian pork chop, and I tell you, it was pretty damn good. Now, do they have the beers? Yeah. Okay. You know, they have so many friggin' beers. I'll bet they don't. When I tell you they have a ridiculous amount of beer, well, they might be showing some of them. Like, they literally have like 100 beers on tap. You should see their friggin' keg room. It's drenched in ultraviolet light, right, to keep... I've had that. I've had the Golden Road Mango Cart. That's pretty good. Do they have them crisp? Do they have like a specialty for the... there's the Paulina Pills. I usually get... I've had the Give 'em Hells. That's a good beer. The Hell's Lager. A little brighter. The Hells is a little brighter. A little bit. No, a little bit. A little brighter. And what else have I had there? I'm not crazy about Pilsner. It's too dry. I've had the Baptist Wit. I've had the House Belgian White. Oh, this one. I was addicted on the Hefeweizenbier. Oh, my God. What's that? Weihenstephaner? Hefeweizenbier? Oh. I love it. I've had that a few times. Do they have their specials? Malty Amber. I've had the Dunkel. The Dunkel is good. I'm just reminding myself, I've had a lot of their beers. There's the House Flight. Yeah, anyway. Exactly. Well, listen, it's fall. German food and German beer it's gonna come up. Listen, it's in the air. It's just. Oh no, I love a good German beer. You know, I had a Hell's beer when we were in Bamberg, and as they told me when we were ordering it, they're like, this is much brighter. It's a brighter beer, but it's not an IPA, which is super bright. And IPAs can be just so freaking bitter. And also, it's like grass clippings and pine cones with grapefruit juice. It's like, I like the German beers way better. Yeah, that's the Yard House on Route 1. You're into fruited sours? I got a fruit beer recently, and it was too strong. My wife loved it. She took it, and I got a Belgian Wit. I gave up. I said, I can't drink this. The waitress was going to take it back. I said, no. She'll drink it. Yeah, just give me a Belgian Wit. Yeah, not an IPA fan either. It's just too bright and bitter. It's just, and it was so, you couldn't avoid them. It's like 90 different friggin' IPAs, and like everything else was the remaining 20 beers. So, I want a polka and a glass boot full of your richest brew. Exactly. Exactly, Das Boot. Yeah, IPAs, grass clippings and pine cones dipped in gasoline. Gasoline's a good one, too. Used to love IPAs. Now they taste like soap. You know, they're just so bitter. And I know what you're saying. Yes, some of them can be a little. That's so funny you say that. Because I think they're getting kooky with the floral, right? Because everyone's trying to be a goddamn, craftsman. And it just stops tasting. It doesn't taste like beer any longer. That Oktoberfest we had from Sam Adams had a really good malt to it. It was an amber, and it was malty, and it was delicious. It was a really good beer. But I prefer the sweeter beers, the ones that are less bitter. Or the ones that are, quite frankly, kind of bready, right? There's a loaf of bread in every sip. Some IPAs taste like fruit juice. I went to a friend of mine, and he had all these different beers, and he had a big beer refrigerator. He had a refrigerator dedicated to just beers, and he was way into it, way into all different types. I didn't know what to even get. I reached in and took out like one that had a big set of clown shoes on it because I thought it looked funny, right? And I think it was clown shoes. I think that was the beer, right? Some friggin' handcrafted, little beer company, I think. And when I tell you that beer was so freaking strong, I could not believe it. I mean, I was sipping that thing. I could feel it. I said, "Oh my God, I am feeling this beer." So I wind up finishing that one beer. And then that was around 5 o'clock I started drinking that beer. I met him there about 4:45. We went in the house and he broke out the other beers. I started drinking that beer. I probably finished it by 6. By like 7:45, it was like, okay, good night. And I'm walking out of there going, I am pretty buzzed right now. Like, really? But I did not want to get one beer. I did not want to get behind the wheel of my freaking car. So I very slowly drive down the street, and right across the street was a Burger King. And I pulled right in. And I ordered a Whopper meal. And I swear to God, I was halfway through that friggin' Whopper meal, and I could feel the booze just draining out of me. Sobered me right up. I had not eaten. And I was feeling it. That was the best freaking Burger King meal I've ever had in my life. Because I was like, okay, all right. You're not so I was freaking out of it. I was like, you cannot drive like this. But by the time I got to the end, and it totally sobered me up. The food really did. Pulled the freaking alcohol right out of me, thank God. Oh man. I got home. It was probably like 10 APV. It was, I think, 11.5 APV. I was like, it was a barley wine, something like that. It was goddamn medicinal. I was like, thanks. I love it. Exactly, like magical Whoppers. So it was really like drinking 2 beers, right? Because beers are usually about 5 something, right? In the 5s. I was like, oh, I was feeling it. Did Burger King do the Black Whopper again this year? I don't think they did the black bun. I think they're doing a black seed. I think it's a different look. I know the one you're talking about. I don't think they brought it back unless they only do it for a couple of weeks and they're waiting to get closer to Halloween because they just don't do that many stock. But the one that I think they have right now from what I saw on TV is I think it's they have one, but it's not like the one from prior years. I swear, I know you were the one you're thinking of. They did the black, and I could have sworn, didn't they do an orange one year? Kind of crazy. So I don't know if you saw this week, I think everyone did, the worst kept secret in the guitar world. Nuno Guitars. Everyone saw him play these, you know, when he was did that Aussie show. Everyone was like, what the what? Nuno Guitars, huh? What? But everyone knew this was coming. This is pretty. Well, like I said, the worst kept secret in the industry. There he is. There's Nuno with the Dark Horse, and is it the White Stallion? What is it? White Stallion, yeah. Dark Horse, White Stallion. And the N4, of course, which is this one. Someone else pointed out, you know, they don't think there's a arm carve. I think there's one on this one, but maybe not on these two. Could be just like a, you know, kind of like a Jackson soloist, right? Kind of a flat top. Hard to know until we see some out in the wild, because these are the only shots we really have, other than looking up him playing at Aussie. And we were all speculating what that is. I think it's Zercoat. No? Zercoat? That kind of remind you of that? That exotic wood? But like, I don't know enough. That certainly looks like just maple. You know, bird's eye maple and flame maple. Definitely going for the rustic aesthetic. And then the question is where they're going to be made. Is he still working with Washburn? Or is it going to be more like Solar, where Solar, you know, Ola left and he just took his guitar line with him? You know, who knows? But it'll be fun to find out. The Nuno guitars look great. I think they look real good. You know, as I was saying when I did the video the other day, you know, they don't look cheap. You know, I'm gonna say if they're made overseas, it's gonna be more like a Strandberg thing, and these are gonna be a couple of grand. You know, you're not looking at guitars under a couple of grand. And I think if they're built in the USA, I think you're probably looking closer to $5,000. I think certainly north of $3,000. But I'm thinking, I mean, you just look at the freaking top on this thing. You can see it go around the corner. That's not a cheap slab of wood, right? That costs money. You can see that thing turn a corner. It's definitely a top, but you can see it turn a corner there. That's a thick top. That's a pretty smoking bird's eye. That's expensive. You know, I'm thinking closer to 5 G's. People thought I was crazy, but in this economy, yeah. Yeah, I think they're going to be up there. And I think it's going to be for like the most uber Nuno fans. I don't think he's out there to like get guitars to the masses. I think he's out there to bring something out for the most you know, ardent of his fans. You know, who would love to own one of these. I mean, admittedly, they look great. You know, when Bobby saw these at the Aussie show, he was like, I don't know what it is or how much it costs, but I want one. I never heard of Nuno. I think this must be his new guitar company. God damn it, I want one. So I was like, yeah, well, we'll have to see. And they were finally announced. Again, the worst kept secret in the industry, that he was going to come out with his own line of guitars. But they are officially launched. When I had the video, someone wrote, "This is old news." I'm like, yeah, about 20 minutes old. They like literally just released the press release. I'm really not a natural wood kind of guy. I am way more into the painted guitars. You know me. You are correct, sir. I am way more into the paint, especially like a metallic paint job. Way more than a natural guitar. But those look good. I especially I gotta say, especially this one over here, which I'm just gonna come right out and say it is probably the most expensive of these three. This looks a little pricey. I don't know. Maybe this wood is more expensive and it's more exotic, but I'm thinking this is the goat, right? This is going to be the highest MSRP of the three. But again, with the bird's eye maple neck, that's chunking on a bunch of money. It just feels like that. But maybe not. Maybe they'll all be the same money, or maybe the N4 will be one price and the other two will be like the exotic series, and those will be more. We don't know. We can only speculate. Just check Stevens extended cutaway. The trademark is expired. I would think that would be a patent, right? Because it is functional. And if you have any function at all, you're going to get a friggin', it's a patent, and patents run out. Trademarks, copyrights, those can go longer, but usually you won't get a trademark or a copyright on something that is functional. And it would be hard to argue that cutaway is not functional, right? The whole point of the cutaway is its function. So that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that maybe he had a patent and it had just expired. And at some point, though, there's no getting it back, you know? Okay, so it's a trademark. Yeah, but it trademarked the name, but not the process. So he can't call it he can't call it that name, right? He can't call it the, what's it called? Stevens Extended Cutaway. He can't call it that if it is trademarked that. But he can call it the Nuno Extended Cutaway. Right? Nothing's stopping him from doing that. Because if it's a patent, then the patent would have expired. And so maybe that's why they got rid of the trademark. They didn't want to keep the trademark up because the patent expired. And then all you're doing is just licensing the trademark. It's like you don't have to say licensed by Floyd Rose any longer because his trademark's finally expired. It took friggin' like 30 years. It took a long time. Usually, most patents are good for only 20 years. And I'm pretty sure he got those patents in the 80s. Right? Definitely a lot nicer than Wild guitars. Well, I think that's a different strategy. I think Wild is trying to go, his guitars are around $1,000 to $1,500. Those guitars are not going to be $1,000 to $1,500. No way. No way. Mark the time and place. I am declaring there is no way, absolutely no way, those guitars are $1,000 to $15 unless they're made in China. Then maybe. But barring that, I'm going to say no. Or Vietnam. But barring that, there's no freaking way. Wild is, I think he's trying to appeal to a more, affordable market. Trying to be more like, just available to a larger, amount of people than just people that are way into Zakk Wylde. Did I notice tariffs affecting the price of guitars? Well, it's been announced. I think Fender went up at least 5%, maybe 10% across the board because they can't allow their import lines to bear the brunt of the tariffs. So to offset it, they raise the price of the American stuff too, which is a more expensive line. So by just raising those prices by 5%, it's a lot more money in that 5% than in the lower stuff. So as I've heard, it's sort of like an across the board. Here's what you need to know: 1200 is the new 600. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? 1200 is the new 600. And when you used to get a guitar for 600, that's 1200. 1200 is the new 600. Was able to get a new HSS American Lux for $2,000 down from $2,400. That's great. That's great. That's more like a used price. I do see those Luxes out there for about $2,000 used. So if you can get a new one for that, just discounted, all the better. It was like my grocery bill. No, I'm telling you, I've watched my beloved Kirkland Costco coffee go from $12.99 just back in frickin' April, to $15.99 and then $17.99, and now it's $19.99. I'm like, are we done yet? what? Jesus, it's killing us. We buy so much freaking coffee, and there's no place in America to grow coffee. At least not in maybe Hawaii, but that land is so expensive you can't really grow coffee there. It would be like super expensive because the land is so valuable, right? Is the Spinal Tap flick out yet? Is it officially released? Because I'll watch it. Is it on? Who has it? Netflix? I thought it was going to go to theaters. No. I saw the Happy Gilmore too. It was okay. It's a ton of nostalgia. I mean, it's pretty much, there's a lot of, it's up to, 30% new footage. There's a lot of that first movie footage out there. There is some Hawaiian coffee and it is expensive. Yeah, it's because, that land is so valuable. So I could either, put a resort up, have these coffee fields. So, it's very valuable land. Less concerned about American coffee. Chocolate, also impractical to go, hey, I know. Now you're cutting me deep, bro. My beloved chocolate. I know. Because it all starts with, you need the cocoa, right? The cocoa bean. $26 for 9 ounces of Kona. Jesus, that is expensive. Because I'm paying $19.99 for, I want to say it's 2.5 pounds. But there's been shrinkflation. That used to be 3 pounds. And they went down to 2.5. And that's why we switched to it over the Starbucks, is the Starbucks was 3 pounds and they switched to 2.5. And it was like, oh, so they show you the per pound cost and you could see it like shoot up. I was like, oh no, we want to switch into the Kirkland one, which is great. It tastes almost exactly like the Starbucks one. Some might even say it is the Starbucks one. It's just in different packaging. I see the new gear at Guitarfest. I didn't see a ton of new gear. Harley Benton had a couple of new things. But I think I might go to Guitarfest. Not Guitarfest. Guitar Summit. That's what I'm thinking of. You're thinking of the Sweetwater one. So who was there? Keeley was there at the Sweetwater one. But I kind of want to go. I kind of want to go to the one in Mannheim. I want to go to the Guitar Summit. First of all, it's in September, right after the start of school in the United States. It's some of the lower prices on flights to Europe because the summer, the vacation period is over. You know, Henning has his event. As much as I'd love to go, those 3rd and 4th weeks in August, it's kind of at a premium because they know that people are taking their vacation time at work, and if they want to travel to Europe during that time, you know, the prices are a little higher. Kids all go back to school. Everyone goes back to work. And, you know, to entice people to take flights, the prices drop. So the price on a round trip flight to Frankfurt the 3rd week of September can be like half the price the 3rd week of August. So I might go to Guitar Summit. Go get myself a Bavarian pork chop. Do you have a Bavarian pork chop? 9. Schnitzel. I was not at I've never been to the Mannheim one. I've only gone to the one at Warwick, which was in Kirkinen. I can't even pronounce that. And the other one is in Treppendorf. That's the Thomann one. Thomann Gearhead University, something like that. That was a great event too. But Guitar Summit seems to be really picking up steam. There's another one in the spring in, I want to say, Monterey. It's more expensive though. Just to fly into that area is just generally more expensive. I think you got to fly into probably Geneva. Yeah, Summit was last weekend. I caught a lot of footage from that. I wouldn't mind going. You know, a vacation I'll treat as a business trip. Shoot a bunch of footage. And, see if I can deduct it off my taxes. And the polka band, exactly. You know. Oompa Loompa band. Yeah, I mean, I had bands in high school and college. I mean, now I'll go and I'll jam with friends and stuff, but nothing formal. Do I have a drone? I actually have a few drones. Never had much success with them. You know, though I bought them like literally 10 years ago. I was buying drones in like 2015, 2016. From, I think, was it Banggood? Banggood.com. They were the big seller. And I tried the little tiny ones. I got some bigger ones that were very stable and had cameras in them. I don't think I spent more than like $50 on one. That was like the most money I'd spend. I'd get a couple for like $10, $15, $20. Little ones to fly around down here. But I never really got the hang of it. Even the more stable one I had, you know, but now I could spend probably, I could go on to Banggood and get one for like $300 that would be fully GPS ready, fully synced with your phone. Like that was emerging technologies back then. You know, I'm sure that like for a couple of $100 you could get just like a crazy good piece of hardware these days, you know. Should work something out with Zioun's for the conventions. Probably use a celebrity rep. I don't think they go to the European ones because they don't sell to Europe. And of course, they're not going to be at Sweetwater because that's a competitor, you know. I was going to meet up with Zioun's last year at the NAMM show, but we wound up missing each other. We wound up never meeting up. So maybe this NAMM. Doing, Monty? We already at halfway? Wow, we're flying by tonight. I feel like my chair, the piston in this chair is going. Hold on. There we go. We'll see how long this lasts. By 9 o'clock, I'll be back to where I was. Person in the old neighborhood got one for Christmas, he'd fly them over people's houses. One day he got shot out of the sky. Yeah, I'm sure. We would take it down. We have an enormous field that's like at least a good 2 soccer fields, like back to back. We would take it down there, right? Because it felt like we were just away from everybody, and it was a big open field, which is hard to find in such a congested area. So we would try it, you know, there and trying to get it to go around, but I couldn't really get the hang of it. You know, I was always, you know, down in it because I felt like it was going to go flying off like into someone's yard, and I didn't want to have to go send one of the kids into their yard to get it back. I wasn't going in there. Hey, Mikey, go in there and get that drone back. Following the Revolution 250 events, I haven't. There's a lot going on in the city for the 250th. I remember the 200th. I remember the bicentennial. When you're jamming at home, not YouTube and monitor speakers to use for playback, still always do headphones. If I'm playing through speakers, it's those clips. Those clipshies. You know those clips? I don't know if they have them up here. I really like those. I don't think you can find... That's not them. Oh, maybe they're... Usually they would be like one of the first. Yeah, I'm not seeing them. Hold on. No. Yeah, geez. Maybe they're finally gone. Hold on. I think I have one. I'm seeing a lot of clip speakers, but I'm not seeing... No. Damn. Have they finally sold out? Did they finally stop making them? Yeah, because I keep looking for the same thing and it keeps coming up with like Logitech. Yeah, man, I think they're gone. Well, that sucks. Yeah. I've done a search for Clip THX, Pro Media THX, 2.1 THX, and they're showing me a lot of speakers, but not those clips. Maybe they're finally sold out, which would suck. They're so good. Like my favorite friggin' speakers. They just kick ass. Yeah, these are all wannabes. There they are, but they're gone. Yeah, that's why they're not showing it. Because some asshole wants $221 for a set of speakers I've paid $89 for. Hold on a sec. Those are them. Normally you can get these for like $129. Sometimes on a crazy sale, you can get them for like, I paid $89. At one point, Costco was blowing them out for like friggin' $59. I bought like 3 sets of them. I friggin' love them. They are so good. Such good bass. Because it's, it's got the full subwoofer, Such amazing good bass, and as you can see, you can dial the subwoofer in. So the right is for the volume of all the speakers, and the left, how much into the mix is the subwoofer. And you trust me, you turn that subwoofer up, and the house will be banging. These speakers, I had 2 sets of these hooked up to a computer once, and man, it was some serious rumbling going on. They are killer. And like I said, I was paying like $89, $79, $60. I think I got one of those sets for like $59 because I was addicted to buying them because they were so friggin' cheap. Even at $129, I think they were a crazy good value. I don't think anyone else has anything even close to them in terms of sound. The problem is they're sold out, and the guy selling them right now wants like $229 for them because he paid $129, and now he wants to make a quick C-note off these speakers, but I would never pay that much for those. Not that they're not worth it, just that I know they've gone for a lot friggin' less. A lot less, I mean, literally, $150 less. There's still a Klipsch website, yeah. Can you buy it direct from the website, though? I bought those speakers based on your review, and they're fantastic. I love them. And what I love about it is that you can dial the amount of bass in, because you crank that friggin' bass up and look out. It is a very, very powerful bass. Sometimes too much, you know, and it just depends. Sometimes things are very weak on the bass and you want to turn it up and say, oh man, look at that, sounds amazing. Sounds really good. Other things are so friggin' bass heavy, you can turn the bass down and go, oh, you know, give it a rest with, you know, with the heavy, you know, bass on, you know, on these tracks. It just depends on the mix. But I friggin' love those speakers. And like I said, I was addicted to buying them. I couldn't stop friggin' buying them. M Audio makes great speakers that sound great. Use those for your computer. Okay. Does it have a subwoofer though? That's the whole thing about these. Got that friggin' subwoofer, which weighs a ton. The walls on that subwoofer, on that speaker cabinet, are so thick. It is very, very heavy, and you know, it's a pretty good size little sub there. You know, they thump. They're pretty good. You know, and again, I was paying as little as $59 for that set from Costco. Have a good one, Aprox. Thanks for hanging out. I have a set of Logitech Z640 speakers, 5.1 system, sure. Over there on my main system, I am rocking a Scott. Remember that friggin' brand? I probably pulled that out of the friggin' trash somewhere. That thing is still working. And I have a set of, is it Royce? They're metal. They're like machined metal. They're very heavy speakers. And they sound so good. I've just had them. I've had that system since, like, they're like the early, or certainly the early 90s. I'm thinking even late 80s. Still works. I mean, I could buy a system that I'm sure is a lot newer and nicer, but why? It still works. Sounds fine. They are literally heavy metal. I literally have a set of heavy metal speakers. Do 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 dee dee. Do 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 do. I shot the video for Monday today, so it's a good one. You're gonna want to tune in for that one. It's a good one. Yeah, it is a new brand on the channel. That's always got to check it out. How's that for a tease? And that's good. Always love to see a new brand. And no, it's real good. It's real good. And that will drop Monday. Shot it today. I will edit it tomorrow night. And it will publish Monday while I am at the dentist. That you can count on. I will be in the dentist chair when the video goes live. It's time for my, the twice a year, going for the cleaning. It's my time. So I'll edit it tomorrow night, publish it. You will see it Monday, same time. I like to publish. I have learned that publishing at the same time on the same day every week is that people like that. I've only been late, I think, once, and I don't think I put it out until like 2 or 3 o'clock. I try to put it out by noon, and I usually don't go much earlier than that because people are still in bed. Certainly on the West Coast. So I usually try to drop it at noon. So stay tuned. Mystery guitar. It's a good one, though. It's a good one. I try to mix it up. This week is a little bit more vintage. Next week, definitely a little bit more modern. Yet, with, if you think about it, a little bit, also a little vintage. It's like a modern vintage. No, it's a vintage modern. Something like that. We'll figure it out. Tune in Monday. All questions will be answered. All fears will be allayed. It's all about consistency. Yeah, people do. I've been getting better numbers because of it. Love guitar, but I think I'd rather watch you load trash in a trailer for 2 hours than showing off a guitar. I am good at loading trash in the trailer. I will give you that. All right, it's pretty good. It's pretty good, as you know from my, trash trailer channel. Trailer trash. You watch it on your lunch break? Great. Always works out perfectly with your lunch hour. Great. Good to hear. How many guitars do I have? I don't know. Not enough. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. At least 5. Oh, wait, there's some more over here. 6, 7, 8, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 7, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 60, 61, 62, 70, 91, 92, 93, 49, 80, 81, 82, 83, 45, 67, 92, 93, 94. Listen, it's a lot. It's a lot. Is my dentist appointment at 2:30? No. There's quite a few used Fender Player 2 Strat sub 600 at Guitar Center. Yeah, you'll see, and you'll see even more stuff as we get closer to the holidays. Hello in Brazil. Exactly, I'm out of numbers. You can't count that high. It's like asking the square root of a million. No one will ever know. You got 52 picks. Is a guitar of the week a Schecter Diamond C1 by chance? Never! If you ever see a Schecter Diamond C1 on this channel, you know I'm goofing on you. I am out of spite. That's the only reason it's here. Not out of love, out of spite. Should I YouTube a video on interacting between a Spark 40 and my computer? You know, people always love a how-to video. There's somebody out there that's having trouble with that, and they probably would appreciate. I tell you, a video I get a lot of, oh, dude, thank you. You rescued me. You saved me, is my video on the Ibanez stud locks. You know, people are like, I was friggin' losing my mind. I didn't realize that there was a lock inside the stud. I said, there is a lock inside that stud, and that's why you can't get it to work. You can raise it, but you can't lower it. Why does one side go down low and the other side won't go down low, right? It make you mental. And so I knew I had to make that video. I just happened to have a guitar taken apart, and I said, you know what? People don't know about these stud locks. I'm just going to do a quick video. I get so many, dude, you freaking saved me. On that video, I was going to break the thing. Oh my God, dude, you saved me. This video deserves more love, you know, because, you know, they get frustrated. You don't. Now, and some people are like, dude, that's in the manual. No one has the manuals. Those could, you know, that's a long time ago. You're talking about Ibanez's from the 80s and the early 90s. People don't have those manuals any longer. And quite frankly, a lot of guitar players just never read the manual. So, you know, even if they had it, they're not reading it. So sometimes you just got to throw the video out. Yeah, anytime you put out something that helps someone get something working, get something going, solves a mystery, like the stud locks would be a mystery. Why does the treble side go way down and the bass side won't? Stud locks. You destroyed the hex on one of those studs, yeah. Yeah. Well, sometimes people would destroy the stud because they can't. They're figuring it's just jammed for some reason. They can't figure it out, and they want to just force it. They put a big giant friggin', you know, and what you can start doing is lifting the bushing. Gotta be careful. You lift the bushing and right the frick out. Exactly, I'd have to count to infinity twice. Yeah, my guitar is expressed in math would be an infinity symbol plus 1. Probably up here. No. Yeah, something like here. There it is. Got to bend that minor third up to the major. Oh, it's been AI, Steve. Actually, I am IA. the start of the show, a different haircut. Actually, every cell in my body has been replaced twice since the show started. AI says you own too many guitars. Is it sending you to, like, self-help groups, hoarding groups? Yeah, my guitar collection is expanding at the Hubble constant. What do I think about AI songs? I tell you, I've been addicted to, there's a guy out there, in the 2 weeks I've been following him, he went from 39,000 subscribers to 113,000. That's pretty much a meteoric rise in my book. And I think, I want to say, he might be out of Brazil. I feel like he's, or it could be Argentina, but he has an AI model. I don't know what he's using, but he takes a famous song and he says, make it sound like, like a 70s funk band. And he's been doing it. He's tried a whole bunch of different things. Make this sound like, which people have been doing on YouTube for years, right? But they've been doing it. He's just plugging in a variable string and it's spitting it out. I will say, the arrangements are pretty damn good, like very, very well done, and very creative, and they're true to the original song. So, like, Welcome to the Jungle in like a 70s, it sounds like Tower of Power. They had one song where, the vocalist, at times sort of sounded like Amy Winehouse, and somebody pointed out, because I noticed the same thing, said, at times this soul singing vocalist really does sound like Amy Winehouse. And someone said, yeah, she was probably used to train the model. And now it's like, oh, you might be onto something. Yeah. 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 Because sometimes they sound a little bit like James Brown. And again, they probably used James Brown to train the model, right? His whole catalog, at least partially, trained the model. So, that's all about tokens, right? So they assign a token to say, like, this is what 70s funk sounds like. And then, like, basically mixing those tokens up, they can come up with something new that still sounds like the genre, but it's not identifiable to any one person. It's pretty good. It is going to put a whole bunch of people out of business, because it's like my wife said, corporate is always looking to save money. They will absolutely, just like robots replaced, humans on the assembly line, AI will replace humans in, creating little backing tracks, bumpers in and out of shows. I mean, who knows what they can do with it, right? The downside to AI is, by definition, nothing created by AI is copyrightable. Period. Only things created by humans can be copyrighted. So there's been some argument, because people want to be able to, get exclusive use of their AI output. And they're like, well, I wrote the input string, And they're like, yeah, but the actual song, the actual image, the actual break, the actual script, right? That was all done by synthesizing in the AI model, and the AI model isn't a human. All you did was tell it what you wanted, and it created it. So you watch the bloodbath that's going to come with AI, because no one likes to make something that's not copyrightable, right? That's the whole point of all this, is so they can use it to the exclusion of everyone else on the earth. So we'll see where it goes. But right now, it's like, because the argument is, well, I put the input string, but the counter argument is, yeah, the elephant doesn't put together the painting. The elephant's owner or trainer is the one that curates the colors, selects the brush, selects the canvas, does all those things. But the court has pointed out, but it's the elephant that's painting the painting, right? Because elephants will paint, they pick up a brush, pick up paint, and they'll paint it, and they want to copyright those, they want to sell them. But by definition, that painting is public domain. Just like by definition, anything created by AI is public domain from the second it's created. And that isn't gonna fly in an industry that relies on government protection. You know? How can you track that? Have AI write a song and then re-record it and say you did it? Yeah. Because when you re-record it, you're actually, right? You're actually doing it, and you just lie. Yeah, I wrote it. I mean, dude, that's been going on for 100 years. How many times have people stolen other people's songs? Right? It wasn't AI, it was just I. It was HI, human intelligence. People have been stealing shit for years. You know? AI is created by humans, but not the final output. It's just trained on a human model. And then the people it was trained on, they'd be saying, well, if it sounds like James Brown, then James Brown's estate should be getting that money. And you're like, well, no, I should be getting it because I'm the one that put it out. They're like, no. So we'll see. We will see where it goes. But I'm telling you right now that you get ready for the shitstorm, because everyone wants to leverage AI and no one wants to do it without having some government protection. Ahead of its time, HAL, yeah. All right. You know, HAL is a spoof on IBM. They took IBM and they just went one letter earlier, so IBM becomes HAL, and it happened to work out because HAL is also someone's name, so it all just worked out. Well, that sounds out. That sounds way out. Hold on. Is that sharp? No, it's a tiny bit flat. You're good. You're good. You're good. You're good. No, you're good. Tiny bit. No, that's good. All right. It sounded a little out, didn't it? To my ears, it did. Oh, wait, hold on. Quick. There it is. Yeah, Milli Vanilli were ahead of their time. Where would they be with AI? Computer geniuses. You got a 7 1/4 radius, not very good for extended bends. It still sounds out sharp. Someone's leaving. It was a great tune. I love Hiram Bullock's cover of it. Am I out of coffee? I am. Ever going Demont? Unlike that riff, which is copyrighted, quite heavily. What's the best material for fretboard rosewood? I don't really think that you hear a huge difference between the woods. It's more of a feel thing. Some people think that ebony feels very smooth, as does maple, because it's got such a tight grain. Rosewood might be a little bit more open grain, so you might feel it a little bit more. Kind of, not really. So, to me, being perfectly honest, it's more of a fashion thing. I think certain guitars with like binding, like a Les Paul Custom, it should have an ebony fretboard. And when it doesn't, it just doesn't look right to me. A Charvel, for the most part, should have a maple fretboard. That's, I mean, there are some exceptions, but usually not rosewood, really, quite frankly, ebony on the Charvels. To me, it's more of a fashion accessory. Right? Just a certain look. It just sort of goes together, and it just, it all works together. Well, thank you, James. Way late, but I'm sure it was fantastic. Oh, nice. Well, no, Hendrix's estate is still around, and his material is copyrighted until it runs out. And it's not going to run out for probably, I think, about another 40 years. So the family is absolutely pulling that money in, big time. There is an estate, I am sure, the Jimi Hendrix estate. That's probably a friggin' LLC at this point, and they manage his catalog. They could sell it at some point if they were tired of managing it. They could, so that's what a lot of artists have done, because they can see the writing on the wall of their catalog in about 40 to 50 years, which will be here sooner than you think, will be, public domain. And so to maximize their money now, they're like, well, what will I get for it if I sell it now? Well, I can get a couple of $100 million. And then it's up to the people that buy it to figure out how to monetize it and use it. A lot of artists can't bring themselves to monetize their catalog the way someone who bought it for the sole purpose of monetizing it can. They have no qualms about monetizing it. Whereas the artists themselves, I have a certain feeling about this song, right? They can't bring themselves to do it, but they can bring themselves to sell the whole shit and thing for, 40, 50, 60 million dollars, $100 million, and throw that in the bank and just work off of that and live large now, and let them, reap the, the money from the use of the. This is why you're going to see Dylan songs, and didn't Springsteen do it? Who else sold off their catalog? Kiss did. Did they sell their catalog or just their looks? I forget now what that deal was. I'd have to go back and look and see. But Kiss, there's a whole bunch of bands that have been, and artists that have been selling their catalogs off, because they're like, money in the hand. Quite frankly, the people that love our songs are dying. They don't know that, right? It's speculative how much that their songs will be, around. So take the money now, throw it in the bank. Is that, ZZ Top sold it? Yeah, there's a whole bunch. I don't think Hendrix ever did. I'm pretty sure that it's still owned by the Hendrix estate, which, like I said, is probably like the Jimi Hendrix, estate company, LLC at this point. Did Davey 504 get nailed for a Bach piece? Well, that's probably because somebody newer has a recording, and they're like, "Oh, you're going against the recording that we made," but they don't know it. Someone came after me for Silent Night, and I said, "You cannot even be freaking serious right now. Silent Night is a complete public domain. It's like going after somebody for Happy Birthday. So it's completely public domain. There's a whole bunch of Christmas songs that are public domain." So I fought back. I said, "No, this is a public domain song," and they dropped it. But it got picked up. Somebody has it somewhere. It was like, and they didn't even call it Silent Night. It was like something knocked. It almost looked German. Somebody had a copyright somewhere, and they were trying to muscle in, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't think so." I think the Beatles catalogs, but remember, the Beatles didn't own their catalog. That's the problem with the Beatles. They signed into a contract when they were super young, didn't have lawyers, right? Who was it? Backstreet Boys found out that guy Perlman was literally a member of the band. Right, he was taking a member share, even though he didn't do anything. Right, I mean, these guys are out to make money. Yeah, the Jimi Hendrix estate experience, exactly. Yeah. Kiss sold their catalog for over $300 million. Yeah. Yeah, still knocked. I think, dude, I think you're right, right? Yeah, Silent Night. Now it's like, oh, no. Come on. But, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I believe, is copyrighted. I think Jingle Bells is still copyrighted. There's a few, not every Christmas song, but like Deck the Halls isn't. I think Little Drummer Boy is not. There's a few that are just completely, right, the Nutcracker isn't. That copyright's run out. There's a bunch that aren't. Apple Records said Beatles, yeah. Yeah, and then they had a fight with the other Apple, which Apple Computer kept saying that it wasn't like Apple Records, but it was no secret that Steve Jobs was a huge Beatles fan. It did feel like a total, that he was going after, Apple Records. Is it Christmas already? According to the Costco aisle I was in the other day, yes. Yeah. Oh, the trees are out, bro. We're blowing right past Halloween. If you wanted the Halloween stuff, you had to be there in August. So an AI Kiss tune was it not impressed? Yeah. I tell you, I've seen this guy who does the funk versions of like metal tunes, right? He does a bunch of stuff from Iron Maiden, and he does Guns N' Roses. I tell you, the arrangements are freaking spot on. They're really, really well done. Did it start as Macintosh, and then what? I'm assuming the stereo company came after him and said, "No, there is a Macintosh. We make amplifiers, right? Stereo amplifiers. My dad has one. A stupid expensive tube friggin' Macintosh. I don't even want to know what that cost." I don't know that Michael Jackson owns them anymore. I feel like he sold off his stuff. Does Apple and Sony? Did Sony buy it up? Yeah, Apple settled several suits for the Beatles. Apple, yeah, yeah, yeah. I felt like they were like, oh hell no, you glomming off of the Beatles now? He's like, no. With the operating system you stole from Xerox? Listen, there are all kinds of ideas are floating out there. So my buddy Kieran Robinson, he's touring again with Jeff Tate, and I think they're coming to the Wilbur. I might reach out to him and see if he's in. Sony owns the Michael Jackson catalog. Bought for over $1 billion. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, Sony has the rights. That's smart by them because the those tunes are as close to cultural anchors and icons as it gets. So many tunes in that catalog that can be used as a part of what's marketing, right? Just selling crap. Yeah, Geoff, or also known as Jeff Tate, who I've seen, I think 3 times. I saw them at the Greasy Luck in New Bedford. I saw them at the Paradise in Boston, and I saw them at Rascals. This tour here, the Wilbur, that's a much bigger venue, and a much bigger venue than those prior ones. Um, I'd say the Greasy Luck, the Paradise, and the Rascals are about the same size, but they're clubs. The Wilbur is a theater. That's where I've seen Buckethead there recently many times, but that's I think a much bigger hall. Macintosh amps cost thousands of dollars. So yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, they can hold the music back. Although I don't know about that. I don't know if you can pull your song from the radio. You know, the radio might have the right to play the song so long as they compensate you under the statutory compensation, right? You can't say, I don't want my music played on the radio. They're like, no, you are going to have it played on the radio, and we're going to pay you the standard rate, which is like 100 times the rate of a place like Spotify. It's pretty, you know, Spotify, they get like a tiny percentage of a penny. I forget what it is, but I thought on the radio it was a few cents. And that adds up with a lot of radio stations and a lot of plays. That really does start to add up. They pay a lot more per play than Spotify. But I'm telling you, music stations around here in Boston are going away. They're getting replaced with talk stations. It's insane. Like, they can't make money with radio stations, with just music stations any longer. There's just too many ways to get music on your phone, and things like Spotify. That it's going to more exclusive, like, talk content. Two of the biggest music stations became sports talk radio stations. Yeah, no one listens to FM anymore. I think you're right. I mean, it used to be that you were sort of trapped in your car, you know? But now even your car has more options. You can connect with your phone. You can go over Bluetooth. There's things like satellite radio. There's a lot of ways to get content other than just straight FM. It really is. Though I will say that when I'm out in the garage, I have a stereo out there. I'll just throw that on and run, the classic rock station in the background all the time. I just make no money off of streaming unless you're Taylor Swift. You get big enough, you'll make money. You get billions of views, but not everyone's sigh. Call back. What was that, 2012? Yeah, Bluetooth at the least. Yeah. FM stations, they could be in trouble. A lot of the stations around here that were television stations have just gone straight digital. And they sold off their spectrums and made money, right? The final, right, come full circle. They finally sold back their spectrum bandwidth, which for the old television is actually quite a bit, right? They can squeeze a lot more into the same bandwidth that they used to. Right? They can sell off that range, and it was very lucrative for them. But they're only in the they sold off their analog spectrum, and the digital spectrum is is all they're doing, and they have the like online, right? But they don't really. I think they do some over the air, but not really. Yeah, Gangnam Style. The last great hit. You got to admit, that song was about as viral as a song goes. It's crazy. I'm sure he's got billions of views, Is he over 10 billion views? That's some decent cash. Still like radio in the car? Yeah. I listen to radio, but to be honest, I listen to mostly sports talk radio, or there's like one or two classic rock stations. That's about it. And quite frankly, I think a lot of the stations, they don't seem to be as powerful anymore. I feel like there's a little shrinkflation with the wattage they're pumping out. Right? Saving a little bit of money. Yeah, right. DJs played what they wanted and got famous in their own right. Mark Parento. And now it's all pre-programmed. Yeah, it's all AI bot. What about Prince? I don't know. Did he sell off his catalog? I don't think so. I don't know much about the status of his catalog. I feel like they were selling off stuff after his passing, though, like studio equipment, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Oh. My wife listens to classical a lot in the background when she's working. I can't take it. It puts me to sleep. Same with jazz. Sometimes I'm in the mood for it, but for the most part, it'll put me to sleep. Yeah, it's all commercials and the same. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we had, God, so many. Of course, probably, who's the most famous? Casey Kasem? Wolfman Jack? Wolfman Jack. Casey Kasem. Think they blew it by not releasing Prince music right away? Maybe. You never know. Maybe they're just waiting for the right price or something. Art Bell. Who's that? Oh, I know that name. Who's that? He's a betting guy, right? Out of Vegas? Right? Odds guy? Art Bell? Is that who I'm thinking of? Cousin Brucey. Yeah. Art Bell, the conspiracy. No, that's a different guy. I think I'm thinking of I'm thinking of a different dude. I'm thinking of a guy who's a friggin' odds maker, right? Tell you if you think your bet sucks. Oh, Art Bell, yeah, coast to coast, yeah, two different Art Bells. Unless this other guy's name is an Art, which it might not be. I tell you, I love the Midnight Special. They've got quite a channel going on YouTube. They started a couple of years ago. The great thing about the Midnight Special is like 90%, not all of them, but I'd say a good 90 to 95% of those acts are live. It's rare that someone goes up there and lip syncs. Very, very rare. They're almost all straight up, live shows. And it's just so refreshing to hear those acts back then live, just absolutely kicking ass. There's so many great clips. Of course, Rock and Roll Hoochie Coo. Oh man, that's such a good performance. Linda Ronstadt has a bunch of amazing. This Kiss was on there a few times. But I friggin' love it. And I've been really down a friggin'. I am in deep on a Bee Gees, checking out a lot, and not like the pre-disco stuff, like their stuff in their early years, and they have some great performances on the Midnight Special. It really is a time capsule for when artists would go out and play live. It really, really is awesome. Yeah, Rick Derringer. God, I freaking love that channel. They have all that old content and they're throwing it up there. It is friggin' awesome. Oh my God, are we already at 8:59? Man, tonight just freaking flew by, huh? Wow. Steve, questions for you. Jackson released a Phil Dremel King V polka dot. Why do you think they didn't release it as a Randy Rhoads? I gotta think that they couldn't. First, probably no one owns polka dots. It probably wasn't trademarked. I gotta think that they couldn't get a tie-in with the family somehow. Let me get to. That's what I'm thinking, right? Although this is a Rhoads. I mean, I'm just going to the website right now, and it just starts out with the Rhoads, the new Jackson Rhoads, the RR24. I mean, yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Yeah. Right. Under the 80s throwback models. So we're clear on what we're looking at here. Yeah. I could see that. I'm with you. That looks Randy all day to me. Maybe because was Randy's not the sharp points like that? Was his the standard V? And maybe they didn't want any crap from Jackson. I mean, from Gibson. The only thing I'm thinking. It is. I agree with you. It seems more like for Randy, but clearly they're still working with the Rhoads family because they got the new American Rhoads. Tweedly, tweedly. Wait, I'm like, tweedly, tweedly, tweedly. Wait. Tweedly, 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 tweedly. Look at him. Wait, tweedly, wait. Then he just went. Then he went. Right here. Tweedly, 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 tweedly. The hell am I looking at? Oh, that's some quick cuts. All right, back here. All right, dudes. Thanks so much for hanging out. Super thanks to anyone who contributed tonight. I always appreciate that. And of course, Brofist to my mod squad. Hashtag Brofist. Hashtag mod squad. Hashtag Ben Coombs at Christmas. We'll see him at Christmas. We'll have the weekend off. We'll see him. I'm telling you. It'll be a Christmas miracle. All right, dudes. You guys have a wonderful week. Be sure to check out Monday's Guitar. It's going to be a wonderful video. I shot it today. Edit tomorrow. It'll be out on Monday at noon. So see you there then. And then, of course, next week we will do it all over again. And, of course, I will have Monday's Guitar next Saturday night, as I do every week. The Monday Guitar shows up on Saturday. So I'll see you next week with Monday's Guitar. All right. You guys have a wonderful week. I will see you in a week. And until then, have a great week. All right. Later.